day 2 with the 944 is, I didn't really take a video before because we took it apart so quick, but this before had so much play, and I mean, you could go all the way to first and it would just hang there. It would not recenter. So all we did for this was I got some roller bearings and then washers, and we shaved down half of this bolt because it was pretty thick and we just wanted extra room for reverse. But it still grabs perfectly fine. You just gotta make sure that you leave enough room for a socket or a wrench to get around it, and then a locking nut with a little bit of blue Loctite on there. Doesn't need to be perfect. And then another roller bearing and washers, which I think that's like 4 millimeters thick, so compensate for that. And then this ugly ass sock. This used to have, so there's an internal boot that clips to this clamp here, this trim piece. It's not super necessary, especially if you're clean and keep shit covered. And then there's an outer leather boot that goes here. That just ripped. So I ordered a new one. That one's coming. And this sock is what the previous owner had over it, so I just kind of zip tied underneath so it wasn't ugly. Reused the top of the leather that I still had. Snaps back in. This looks and feels so much better than it was, because when I first got it, when you came over here to first and second, you were rubbing against the inner boot that was all torn up and dragging on the inside, like against the transmission linkage and shit. So now there's free space. You go back to first and second way easier. The head of the bolt doesn't rub here when you're going into fifth, and then reverse is, you still got to be kind of firm. It gets sticky, but so much better than it was. And the fact that it recenters is magical. Checking back in, I'm now inside the car, and I already did this. I think I've already had a video explaining what we did here. Instead of buying a rebuild kit, blah blah blah, watch the other video for that. For this, I just got a new boot and I put it on. I did not video that because I was actually watching another video, and it is a bitch. Getting the top out is pretty hard, but what I did with the old boot, it's not in here anymore, but I just kind of unstitched it and then pulled it. Instead of taking off the top first, I pulled the leather like down. So I pulled it down below the bottom here, and it kind of pulled the top off with it, because that's what the top just tucks in the leather, holds it in there. It was a little bit glued. They aren't always glued, I don't think. Like a lot of people's are not, but mine was. Then you have to hammer this top part back in to re-clamp the new leather, which the boot was easy. It just slid right over, and it has a outlined indent for here, so that you know where to stop. But then you have to hammer back in this. I don't have a rubber mallet, so I just used microfiber on the top with a hammer. That did not work. It's still a bitch. I mean, I hammered for maybe 10 minutes lightly trying to tap it, and then I started getting impatient and hitting it harder, and it just did not seat very great, and then also cracked the top a little bit, if you can see that. So I kind of gave up, and I think I'm just going to reorder a new top and then re-tuck it in and see if I can maybe make it a little bit thinner inside so that it sits a little bit better. But it was overall a pretty simple fix, and then either they just slide it over the top, put the pin in the bottom, down here on the inside, and here, just put the clip back in the bottom, which secures it in. And then clip. You just gotta kind of use 2 fingers and really pull this, but it's pretty old, so it's not easily. That just locks it back on. And then all we're gonna do now is take the trim piece fitting. And it's going to go right back in here. With the new leather, has a couple notches to put around each peg. And then just feed it through the bottom. And I'll show you what that looks like in a sec once I do that. This was an absolute bitch, just like the top, which still is not in all the way in properly. Like I said, I'm gonna reorder a new one of those anyways. This was a bitch as well, just to try and get the leather to sit underneath and still get the trim piece to pop into place is pretty hard. You just gotta work it. My advice would be get them on the hooks underneath. I showed you the little cutout that I stuck my finger through, and those just get on the hooks that then clip into the side. Kind of hook it in. Just get it on that, and then pull the leather towards you so that it's tight against the hooks instead of letting a lot sit underneath and kind of bunch up. Try and pull it and get a side in while kind of pulling it up, then another side while pulling it up, another side. So I push or pull in towards the middle, then pull the leather up, and then push it back out towards the side. And that's set nice and easy. Not easy, but set good after I did that. That is the new boot. It looks way, way, way better than it did with that damn sock. Here's the little kind of before and after. That's literally exactly basically what it looked like before. Before, after. And I got that off of only 944, I believe, for maybe 19, 20 bucks. And it looks great. The quality's nice. It's a pretty thick leather, which kind of makes sense, which is why it's hard to tuck it in here and in here as well. So another suggestion when you are tucking this, if there's a way to kind of thin out the leather so it's not as thick when you're patting it in here, it'll pack a lot easier, and it'll for sure still keep it in there. If you want, you can add a little glue too, for peace of mind. But yeah, that is basically a full stick rebuild from just a beat up, trashed, sloppy stick how I first got it. I don't really have very many videos to show it before and after. But it went from super sloppy to a full rebuild, new boot, new bushings, or new roller bearings, new bolt to the transmission linkage. It all brand new, and total was maybe like a $30, $35 purchase for a full rebuild boot. And you can basically keep the original pieces as well. So that's the update. Flags. Oh, good job. Waddle. Waddle. Sit. Yeah. Good shop dog. Good shop dog.